The Beretta M9, officially the pistol, semi-automatic, 9mm, M9, is the designation for the Beretta 92F semi-automatic pistol used by the United States Armed Forces. The M9 was adopted by the United States military as their service pistol in 1985. The M9 won a competition in the 1980s to replace the M1911A1 as the primary sidearm of the U.S. military, beating many other contenders, and only narrowly defeating the SIG P226 for cost reasons. It officially entered service in 1990. The M9 was scheduled to be replaced under a United States Army program, the Future Handgun System, which was merged with the Soft Combat Pistol program to create the Joint Combat Pistol. The JCP was renamed Combat Pistol, and the number of pistols to be bought was drastically cut back. The U.S. Army and Air Force are seeking to replace their M9s through the Modular Handgun System program, which has chosen the SIG Sauer P320. In the 1970s, every branch of the U.S. Armed Forces except the U.S. Air Force carried the .45 ACP M1911 pistol. USAF opted to use .38 special revolvers, which were also carried by some criminal investigation/military police organizations, USAF strategic missile officer crews, and by military flight crew members across all the services when serving in combat zones or when engaged in nuclear weapons duties. The Department of Defense then decided to synchronize the weapons of all 5 branches of U.S. forces. The ground combat branches of the services found this decision highly contentious, but was meant to eliminate the need to buy replacements for worn-out M1911 frames and to establish a common NATO pistol round to simplify logistics in case of war with the Soviet Union and Europe. In 1979, the Joint Service Small Arms Program began searching for a replacement for the venerable M1911, and the 9x19mm Parabellum round was selected for compliance with the NATO Standardization Agreement. In 1980, the Beretta 92S1 design was chosen over entries from Colt, Smith & Wesson, Walter, the Star M28, and various Fabrique Nationale and Heckler & Koch models. The result, however, was challenged by the U.S. Army, and new tests were done by the Army. In 1984, the trials started again with updated entries from Smith & Wesson, Beretta, SIG Sauer, Heckler & Koch, Walter, Steyr, and Fabrique Nationale. Beretta won this competition, but there was a new trial, the XM10 competition, in 1988. This resulted in 2 different trials that were more limited but resulted in the Beretta being chosen, albeit with an updated design. Concurrent to the pistol selection process, beginning in 1979, the Bianchi International Holster Company began its development of a multifunction military holster to be ready for the issuance of a new pistol. This holster, designed by John Bianchi and Richard Nichols, has served the U.S. Armed Forces well for decades, designated as the M12, and was adopted simultaneously with the adoption of the Beretta 92F in 1985. The Beretta 92F survived exposure to temperatures from -40 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, being soaked in salt water, being dropped repeatedly on concrete, and being buried in sand, mud and snow. Additionally, the 92F proved a mean rounds before failure of 35,000 rounds. That number is often touted as the equivalent to 5 or 6 times the pistol's service life. The Iraq War, which featured frequent urban and room-to-room combat, has required American soldiers to rely more heavily on their pistols. Prior to its widespread adoption by the U.S. military, questions were raised in a 1987 General Accounting Office report after an incident where a slide failure on a Beretta 92SB injured a Naval Special Warfare member, and 2 more failures were later observed in additional testing. These failures included both military and civilian Beretta models with very high round counts, and after investigation Beretta deemed them the result of ammunition supplied by the U.S. Army which exceeded the recommended pressures specified by NATO, while the U.S. Army concluded that the faults were the result of the low metal toughness present in the Italian-made slides. This event nonetheless provoked a modification in the M9 design to prevent slide failure from causing injuries to the user, after which no further slide fractures were reported. In 2007, soldiers in the field had many of concerns with the M9, notably a lack of confidence in its stopping power resulting from the use of the 9mm ball round, a significant factor in military evaluations because the Hague Conventions prohibit use of expanding bullets in warfare between contracting parties. The United States is not a signatory but generally observes the agreement. The M9 has been the standard sidearm of the United States Navy, United States Army and the United States Air Force since 1985, replacing the Colt M1911A1 in the Army and Navy and the Smith & Wesson .38 Special in the Air Force. The M9A1 is also seeing limited issue to the United States Marine Corps. A large number of M9S and M9A1S were ordered in 2006. During the 2009 SHOT Show, Beretta announced it had received a $220 million contract for the delivery of 450,000 M9S and M9A1S to the U.S. military, within 5 years. In September 2012, Beretta USA announced that the U.S. Army had bought 100,000 M9 pistols and that the M9 would remain their sidearm for the next 5 years. The U.S. Army and Air Force are seeking to replace their M9S through the Modular Handgun System program. The Hogu's Armed Services Committee wants to terminate the program in favor of upgrading the M9. Program officials say buying a new pistol is the better option due to advances in handgun designs, the difficulty in addressing all of the M9's issues, other pistols being less expensive to produce and maintain, and the low confidence soldiers have in the M9. A 3-year engineering, manufacturing, and development phase is to begin in early 2014. Commercial off-the-shelf pistols will be tested for capabilities such as accuracy, dispersion, compatibility, and corrosion resistance under extreme weather and extreme combat conditions. The pistol's service life is expected at 25,000 rounds. The M9 is required to fire 5,000 rounds, while data from Beretta shows the average reliability of the M9 pistol to be 17,500 rounds without a stoppage. In December 2014, Beretta unveiled its M9A3 pistol upgrade for a separate Army effort to identify engineering change proposals under its existing contract. The company presented the upgrade to improve the M9's performance as a more cost-effective solution without needing to buy a different handgun. Improvements include a thin grip with a removable, modular wraparound grip, MIL-STD 1913 accessory rail, removable front and rear tritium sights, extended and threaded barrel for suppressor use, 17-round sand-resistant magazine, and other small features, all in an earth tone finish. Later that month, the Army decided not to evaluate the M9A3 in favor of pursuing the MHS program, maintaining that the M9 design does not meet requirements and a cost-benefit analysis determined the old fleet would cost more to replace and repair than buying a new service pistol. Beretta claims M9A3 upgrade features fix most of the complaints and could be sold for less than the cost of previous M9 versions. The Army formally rejected the M9A3 ECP proposal at the end of January 2015. On January 19, 2017, it was announced that a customized version of the Sig Sauer P320 had won the United States Army's XM17 modular handgun system competition. The full-sized model will be known as the M17 and the carry-sized model will be known as the M18.
Mira mi chulita, caray.